The human defiance. The Talaxian Empress Linux raged, her face twisting as she slammed a fist on her command chair. The arrogant human defiance stung. Their refusal to submit was unthinkable. In all her centuries of conquest, no civilization had ever dared resist the might of her star empire. Yet the Terran insects dared to refuse her demands for Earth's surrender and humanity's vassalage to her throne. Even worse, human military strength reports indicated they had over 200 massive supercarriers ready to face her. How had their shipyards constructed such a huge war fleet in secret? A grim situation. Fleet Admiral Harry Rice strode into Terran High Command to somber faces. Senior officials filled him in on the grim situation. Long-range sensors painted a terrifying picture. Over 10,000 Talaxian capital ships, an immense invasion armada, bore down on Earth at maximum warp velocity. For decades, leadership had hidden the Talaxian threat from the public, fearing mass panic. They had quietly built up Earth's defenses, urgently preparing for this dreaded day. Admiral Rice clenched his fists, the burden of humanity's fate suddenly weighing heavily on his shoulders. Desperate measures. Terran High Command had just given Rice his orders. He was to mobilize every space fleet asset at Earth's disposal and intercept the enemy at all costs. There could be no retreat. Repelling this invasion was paramount. But Rice had a desperate gambit up his sleeve that just might give Earth a fighting chance, even against a hyper-advanced foe that had conquered a quarter of the Milky Way already. He barked out the command to unseal and activate Earth's 200 supercarriers, gigantic city-sized warships boasting advanced energy shielding, powerful beam weaponry, and the ability to transport thousands of fighters, bombers, and assault shuttles each. Preparation for battle. The mighty vessels had been secretly constructed in hidden shipyards across the entire Sol system. Frenzied activity erupted as thousands of fleet personnel scrambled to battle stations. The behemoth supercarriers hummed to life one by one, powering up their systems. Rice watched the spherical defensive formation take shape around Earth, ready to face the oncoming storm. He knew that the coming titanic clash between human and Talaxian forces would determine the very survival of the human race. The defining moment. Gazing at the tactical screen, Admiral Rice tensed as the enemy armada shockingly dropped out of warp nearby. This was it, the defining moment of humanity's existence. Today, the sons and daughters of Earth would show the galaxy what they were made of. Incandescent beams of turquoise energy lashed out from the human supercarriers, spearing Talaxian destroyers and sending them pinwheeling off in shattered fragments. Swarms of human fighters and bombers darted between the capital ships, pummeling the enemy vessels with torpedoes and laser fire. First blood. The Talaxian ships returned fire with searing red beams, burning through the thick armor of several supercarriers. On the bridge of the THS Indomitable, Admiral Rice barked out orders as the deck shuddered beneath him. Damage reports flooded in. The Relentless and the Dauntless had lost main power, and the Valiant's hangar bays were in flames. Rice clenched his jaw and studied the tactical display. A strategic shift. Concentrate fire on Grid 7 Alpha, he commanded. Lure those cruisers in close and hit them with a broadside. The human fleet shifted, a group of supercarriers laying down covering fire as others maneuvered into position. Talaxian cruisers took the bait, charging in with guns blazing. As they closed in, the waiting supercarriers let loose with a devastating barrage, tearing the alien vessels to pieces. But the Talaxians adapted quickly, their superior technology taking a heavy toll. Heroic sacrifice. Searing beams sliced through the weakened shields of human ships, consenting thousands to a fiery grave. Rice watched helplessly as the supercarrier Victorious broke apart, consumed by multiple rupturing core breaches. The Admiral made a quick calculation. At this rate, humanity would lose no matter how many Talaxian ships they took down with them. They needed a decisive blow, and fast. The decisive command. Rice opened a fleet-wide channel, his voice hard as steel. This is Admiral Rice. I'm ordering battle groups Gamma and Theta to initiate ramming maneuver Omega-3. Divert all power to forward shields and drive systems. Target the Talaxian flagship. Let's show these bastards what we're made of. Acknowledgements came in terse and grim. On the flagship, Rice gripped the arms of his command chair as scores of human ships peeled away from the formation and surged towards the looming Talaxian flagship. Turbolaser fire hammered their shields, burning through layer after layer, but the human ships did not waver. Plunging forward on pillars of blue fusion flame, the Admiral held his breath. Impact. The human ships smashed into the Talaxian flagship's shields like titanic battering rams. For a moment, the flagship's protective force field held, then it flickered once, twice, and finally died in a cataclysmic blast of energy. The flagship's hull rippled as internal explosions tore through it. The human fleet unleashed hell, a blistering salvo of focused beam fire and torpedoes that stabbed into the crippled Talaxian flagship. Its hull caved in like crumpled paper under the unrelenting onslaught. The Empress's fall, escape attempt. In the chaos, no one noticed a small craft slipping away from the ruined flagship, the Empress's emergency escape shuttle. No one, that is, except the lone heavy missile that streaked out from a battered human destroyer and reduced the shuttle to molten dust. Empress Linux, the scourge of 1,000 worlds, died instantly, atomized in the cold of space. The aftermath. The Talaxian fleet reeled in shock as the gravity of what had just happened sank in. Their leader was dead, their command ship destroyed. War Minister Druss seized the reins, his voice booming out over the Talaxian comm network. Warriors of the Empire, hear me. The Empress has fallen, but her spirit lives on in each of us. We will not let these primitive apes defeat us. Reform the lines and prepare to attack. We will water the stars with their blood and lay their worlds to waste. For the Empress. A renewed assault. The Talaxian ships rallied, regrouping with grim discipline. On the human side, Admiral Rice saw the shift and knew their momentary advantage was slipping away. He keyed the fleet-wide channel again, his words heavy with urgency. This is it, people. Hit them with everything we have left. No retreat, no surrender. Earth will not fall on our watch. For humanity. A fierce battle. Ragged cheers echoed across the human fleet as every ship, damaged or not, hurled itself at the enemy with reckless abandon. On the planet below, cities emptied as civilians sought shelter far underground in hastily fortified bunkers. Earth's leaders watched the horrific space battle unfold, their worst nightmare come to life. Fists clenched and teeth gritted as an awful realization sank in. They might be witnessing humanity's last stand. The turning tide. The battle raged on, a maelstrom of fire and destruction. War Minister Druss's voice crackled over the Talaxian comm channels. Destroyer squadrons, execute flanking maneuver Alpha 7. Cruisers, maintain long-range bombardment. Talaxian destroyers surged forward, their engines flaring bright as they attempted to encircle the human fleet. Lances of energy stabbed out from Talaxian cruisers, pummeling the Terran ships mercilessly. Desperate measures. On the bridge of the T-8S Indomitable, Admiral Rice watched grimly as status reports flooded in. The Supercarriers Valiant and Dauntless were burning hulks, venting atmosphere and crew into the void. He punched a fleet-wide comm. All ships, Titan formation, sphere defense pattern echo. The remaining human vessels drew closer together, presenting a unified wall of firepower. Rice sparked out his next order. Concentrate fire on those destroyers. Don't let them complete that flanking move. The drones unleashed. Human gunners obeyed, pouring devastating salvos into the oncoming Talaxian ships. Destroyer after destroyer vanished in silent explosions, reduced to drifting debris fields. Rice nodded to his XO. It's time. Authorize use of the drones. Moments later, dozens of sleek unmanned frigates winked into existence behind the Talaxian fleet, courtesy of their quantum entanglement drives. The drones immediately opened fire, harassing the enemy's rear guard. A new threat. War Minister Druss snarled in frustration as alerts blared across his command deck. What treachery is this? Cruiser Groups 3 and 4 break off and engage those human pests. As Talaxian ships peeled away to deal with the unexpected threat, Rice seized his chance. All supercarriers, focus fire on their capital ships. Take out those battleships. A relentless assault. The remaining human vessels unleashed hell, their concentrated firepower tearing through Talaxian defenses. One by one, massive enemy battleships succumbed to the assault, breaking apart under the humans' relentless barrage. But even as they celebrated these victories, the tide of battle began to turn once more. The Talaxians, though battered, were far from defeated. A new ally, enter the Lorin. As the human fleet struggled to hold the line, a new player entered the fray. The Lorin, a highly advanced but previously neutral species, had been watching the conflict unfold. Known for their technological prowess and unparalleled shipbuilding capabilities, the Lorin had long kept to themselves, avoiding entanglement in galactic affairs. But the Talaxian threat had grown too great to ignore. Reinforcements. Lorin ships appeared in the midst of the battle, their sleek, silvery forms cutting through space with ease. They opened fire on the Talaxian forces without hesitation, their weapon systems far surpassing anything the humans or Talaxians had. Lorin energy beams sliced through Talaxian shields and armor like a hot knife through butter, sending enemy ships reeling. A turning point. Admiral Rice's eyes widened in astonishment as the Lorin ships joined the fray. He quickly composed himself and opened a channel to the Lorin fleet. "This is Fleet Admiral Harry Rice of the Terran High Command. We welcome your assistance. Let's send these invaders packing." A calm, melodious voice responded. "We are the Lorin. Your struggle has not gone unnoticed. Together, we shall drive back the darkness." A united front. The combined might of the human and Lorin fleets turned the tide of battle. Talaxian ships, once overwhelming in their numbers and firepower, now found themselves outmatched and outgunned. Human and Lorin vessels worked in perfect harmony, their coordinated assaults devastating the enemy. Druss's desperation. War Minister Druss watched in horror as his fleet was systematically dismantled. His mind raced for a solution, but none presented itself. The Talaxian Empire had never faced such a formidable adversary, let alone two working in unison. Druss knew they were beaten. "All remaining ships, fall back. We must regroup and rethink our strategy." Victory. As the Talaxian ships began to retreat, cheers erupted across the human and Lorin fleets. Admiral Rice allowed himself a rare smile. "We did it," he muttered, almost in disbelief. The battle was won, but the war was far from over. The Talaxians would return, and when they did, humanity and their new allies would be ready. The aftermath. In the aftermath of the battle, Earth began to rebuild. The losses were staggering, but the spirit of humanity remained unbroken. They had stood against the greatest threat they had ever known and emerged victorious. With the Lorin by their side, they were more determined than ever to protect their home and ensure the safety of the galaxy. A new era. The alliance between humans and Lorin marked the beginning of a new era. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. The stars held many secrets and dangers, but united, they were ready to face them all. The galaxy would come to know the strength and resilience of humanity and the wisdom and power of the Lorin. The Empress's revenge, the gathering storm. Deep within the heart of the Talaxian Empire, the loss of the Empress and the defeat at Earth's hands sent shockwaves through the ranks. War Minister Druss, now the de facto leader, convened an emergency council with the remaining Talaxian High Command. Rage, fear, and a thirst for revenge simmered among them. Druss knew that without decisive action, the Empire could crumble. A vengeful plot. "Earth and its allies have humiliated us," Druss began, his voice filled with venom. "But we are not beaten. We will return stronger and more prepared. Our scientists have been working on a new weapon, one that will ensure our victory and restore our dominance. The High Command leaned in, their interest piqued. Druss unveiled the schematics for the Stellar Obliterator, a colossal superweapon capable of harnessing the energy of a star and directing it towards a single target. Its destructive power was beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. Preparation for war. Druss's plan was clear. The Stellar Obliterator would be constructed in secret, far from prying eyes. The Talaxian fleet would rebuild, incorporating new technologies and strategies to counter the human-Lauren alliance. The Empire's vast resources were mobilized, and construction began on a remote, heavily guarded planet. Unseen threats. Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Rice and his team remained vigilant. They knew the Talaxians would not give up so easily. Spies and reconnaissance missions were dispatched to gather intelligence on the enemy's activities. Reports trickled in about unusual energy readings and increased activity in a distant sector of Talaxian space. A race against time. Human and Lauren scientists worked around the clock to enhance their defenses and develop new technologies. The alliance was strong, but they knew they were racing against time. The Talaxian threat loomed large, and the Stellar Obliterator, though unknown to them, posed an existential risk. A critical discovery. One of the human recon teams, led by Captain Elena Morales, stumbled upon a hidden Talaxian outpost. Through stealth and subterfuge, they infiltrated the base and discovered plans for the Stellar Obliterator. Morales' team barely escaped with their lives, but the intel they brought back was invaluable. The Alliance now knew the full extent of the threat they faced. A desperate plan. With the clock ticking, Admiral Rice and his Lauren counterpart, High Commander Zarin, devised a desperate plan. They would strike the construction site of the Stellar Obliterator before it could be completed. A task force was assembled, consisting of the best human and Lauren ships and warriors. It was a high-risk mission, but failure was not an option. The assault begins. The task force jumped to the coordinates provided by Morales' team. As they arrived, they were met with fierce resistance. The Talaxians had anticipated a possible attack and fortified the construction site heavily. A brutal battle erupted, with ships on both sides exchanging devastating fire. Infiltration. Amid the chaos, a small team of elite commandos, led by Captain Morales, was deployed to infiltrate the planet and sabotage the Stellar Obliterator. They faced near impossible odds, fighting their way through waves of Talaxian soldiers and automated defenses. Every step forward was hard-won, and casualties mounted. The final push. As the battle raged in space, Morales and her team reached the heart of the construction site. They planted charges on the superweapon's power core, knowing that detonation would create a massive chain reaction. With minutes to spare, they fought their way back to their extraction point, dodging enemy fire and overcoming incredible odds. A Pyrrhic victory. The charges detonated, and the Stellar Obliterator went up in a cataclysmic explosion, visible even from space. The task force had achieved its objective, but at a staggering cost. Many ships and brave warriors were lost, including Captain Morales, who sacrificed herself to ensure the mission's success. A fractured empire. The aftermath. The destruction of the Stellar Obliterator sent shockwaves through the Talaxian Empire. War Minister Druss was furious, his plans for revenge thwarted. Morale among the Talaxian forces plummeted, and whispers of dissent began to spread. The once unshakable empire now faced internal strife and rebellion. Seeds of rebellion. On various Talaxian-controlled worlds, resistance movements gained momentum. Inspired by the human-Lauren alliance's defiance, these rebels sought to overthrow their oppressive rulers. The Empire's iron grip began to weaken as more and more systems openly defied Druss's authority. A desperate gamble. War Minister Druss, desperate to maintain control, doubled down on his efforts to crush the rebellions. He diverted resources from the front lines to deal with the uprisings, stretching the Empire's military thin. This presented a golden opportunity for the Human-Lauren alliance to strike a decisive blow. Strategic offensive. Admiral Rice and High Commander Zarin launched a coordinated offensive, targeting key Talaxian installations and supply lines. The goal was to cripple the Empire's ability to wage war and support its vast territories. The Alliance's forces struck swiftly and decisively, their advanced tactics and superior technology giving them the upper hand. A turning point. The Talaxian Empire, once feared and revered, was now on the defensive. The Human-Lauren alliance's relentless assaults forced Druss to retreat further into Talaxian space. The Empire's control over its territories grew increasingly tenuous, with more systems declaring independence each day. The battle for Talaxia. The final turning point came with the battle for Talaxia, the Empire's homeworld. The Alliance's fleet, bolstered by rebel forces from within the Empire, converged on the planet. Druss, in a last-ditch effort to save his rule, threw everything he had into the defense of Talaxia. A decisive victory. The battle was fierce, with both sides suffering heavy losses. But in the end, the Alliance's superior strategy and determination prevailed. The Talaxian fleet was shattered, and Druss was captured. The once mighty Talaxian Empire lay in ruins, its territories liberated and its people free. The dawn of a new era. Reconstruction. With the fall of the Talaxian Empire, the galaxy entered a period of reconstruction. The Human-Lauren alliance took the lead, helping former Talaxian-controlled worlds rebuild and establish their own governments. The scars of war were deep, but hope and resilience drove the efforts to heal and rebuild. A new alliance. The bond between humans and Lauren grew stronger in the aftermath of the war. Their cooperation had not only saved Earth, but also brought freedom to countless worlds. The two species formed a new galactic alliance dedicated to peace, exploration, and mutual defense. Exploration and discovery. With the threat of the Talaxian Empire gone, the galaxy was open for exploration. Scientists and explorers from across the Alliance set out to discover new worlds and unlock the mysteries of the cosmos. The spirit of curiosity and adventure flourished, leading to countless new discoveries and advancements. Cultural exchange. The Alliance also fostered cultural exchange, bringing together diverse species to share their knowledge, traditions, and arts. The galaxy became a melting pot of ideas and cultures, enriching the lives of all who lived within it. A legacy of heroes. The heroes of the war, both known and unsung, were celebrated. Statues and memorials were erected in their honor, reminding future generations of the sacrifices made to secure their freedom. Captain Elena Morales, Admiral Harry Rice, and many others became legends, their stories inspiring hope and courage. The future of the galaxy, a vigilant peace. The new alliance remained vigilant, knowing that peace was fragile. They established a powerful fleet and advanced defense systems to deter any future threats. The lessons of the war were not forgotten, and the Alliance was prepared to protect the galaxy from any who would seek to conquer it. A united galaxy. The galaxy, once divided by fear and tyranny, was now united in a shared vision of peace and prosperity. The Human-Lauren alliance welcomed new members, forming a vast coalition of worlds dedicated to mutual respect and cooperation. The next generation. As the years passed, new generations grew up in a galaxy shaped by the sacrifices and triumphs of their ancestors. They looked to the stars with hope and determination, ready to face whatever challenges the future might hold. The legacy of the Human-Lauren alliance endured, a testament to the power of unity and the indomitable spirit of those who fought for freedom. The endless frontier. The galaxy stretched out before them, an endless frontier filled with wonders and possibilities. The story of humanity and their allies was far from over. Together, they would continue to explore, learn, and grow, forging a brighter future for all. The stars beckoned, and they answered, ready to embark on new adventures and write the next chapter of their story.